Hello and welcome. I'm Melissa, and today's video is an exciting video because I am going to show you every single one of my philodendron plants that I have in my collection. I love philodendrons. It's not my favorite genus, but I do love them. I actually have almost 40 different philodendron species in my collection, so very exciting. I did ask my Instagram how I should do this video, if I should do like least favorite to favorite philodendrons or vice versa. And it seemed like majority said they didn't really care. So I think how I'm going to do it is I'm going to kind of do the least favorites first. I'm going to group them in probably like 10 to 12 that are like, these are at the bottom of the list. I don't really care about too much. Then I'll do the middle group that are philodendrons I enjoy having, I like caring for, I'm glad I have them. So they'll be like the middle 10, 12 plants. And then the last group are going to be like my top favorite philodendrons, ones that I absolutely love and adore that I cannot live without. Some of these plants I've had for a really long time and they look amazing and I love them. Some of them have struggled. Philodendron can be a finicky plant genus for me, and some I've had for a long time and they're still kind of struggling and rehabbing. Some I just recently propagated to chop back, so they're like basically nothing. So the plants are gonna get better as they kind of go along in the video. So I hope you don't mind that I did it this way. So we are going to get started here with our very first group. I'm gonna go grab some of my least favorite philodendrons and we're gonna get started. So the plant I'm going to show you first is falling into the least favorite group, and it's going to be this one here. This is a Philodendron Hastatum, or a silver sword, as many people know it by. And you may think, like, why is this in my least favorite? I think for me, the reason why this one is in my least favorite is it always gets spider mites. Philodendron is the worst plant genus of mine that gets spider mites, and I hate spider mites. And not only that, I feel like it's kind of a finicky plant in a way. I feel like the leaves on the bottom tends to yellow. I actually grew this plant already and the whole thing yellowed, and so I cut it back to propagate, and this is 2 nodes that I salvaged, and I have it on a small grow pole. And I don't know. I love the color. Silvery blue is my favorite color on plant leaves besides variegation. But this plant is just not doing it for me that much anymore. Like if it disappeared, I would be okay with it. And since it is such a spider mite magnet, this one usually gets them. And I feel like this is one of the reasons that my cabinet broke out in spider mites recently. Do I love this plant anymore? Honestly, not really. I'm kind of like ready to let this one go. I may end up just propagating this one back and like selling cuttings or something, but definitely not one of my favorites. Again, I feel like it's very beautiful. I love the color, don't get me wrong, the color is gorgeous. I guess I'm just not a fan of how it grows anymore. The nodes have a hard time rooting into a pole. I don't know, what are your guys' thoughts on this plant? I like it, but I don't like it. So yeah, this one is probably not going to stay in my collection because I just feel like it's a plant for me that's not really worth the hassle of growing. So yeah, that is plant number 1. Next philodendron is Philodendron Birkin. I've had my Birkin for actually quite some time, and I've kind of fallen out of love with it recently. It's not one of my favorites anymore. This was actually one of my first philodendrons. I bought mine a long time ago, and it did well for a while. It kind of doesn't get the best light now, so it doesn't really grow that much. It came down with spider mites earlier this year, and it kind of took a bit of a hit from that. And I ended up cutting this top little section off here in the middle because it was growing like pretty white leaves, and they were all like damaged from just spider mites and everything. So I didn't like the way that it was growing. So I cut it, and it's taken a while to kind of grow back in. You can see there's some smaller leaves that have kind of formed since I did that. And there is another vine over here as well. So I don't know. I don't really like mine anymore. I have it just because I have it, and I don't know eventually what I'll do with this. I kind of honestly want to chop it back and start over with it because, again, I just don't like how it's grown for me. I think they're pretty at the stores when I see them, when they're like nice and full and big and beautiful and they have good color. But again, mine just isn't my favorite. I don't like looking at this plant. This plant doesn't make me happy. So although I did love it at one point, it definitely, you know, has been on a journey with me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the Birkin anymore. You'll have to let me know how you feel about the Birkin, because it's definitely in my least favorite philodendron group. Next philodendron is Philodendron Burle Marx Fantasy. And you can tell I haven't loved this one as much. I did really like it at one point. Mine actually started from a cutting I got locally. This was probably back in 2021. And it did okay for a while. It had thrips last summer, so I had to end up cutting it back. So I restarted it and it had done well. And then I feel like I just got really lazy keeping the pole moist. I have like a leaf here that's missing, and then it started growing better again. And then, I don't know, it hasn't done anything for a while. I just don't really care for this one much anymore. And I don't know, I just haven't cared for it like I should. I feel like some of these plants I just want to start over with, and maybe I'll appreciate it more. I think the Burle Marx Fantasy is a pretty philodendron. Like, I fell in love with these like cool, dark shaped leaves. It is a cool philodendron. I put this in my group 3 because I feel like it's one that I've had a while and I don't really love. So I feel like, is growing it again, am I really going to change my mind on it, you know? I don't know. I don't know what my plan is with these in my group 3, like down the road. But if I feel like I'm not really putting the care into growing for it, like, why am I even keeping these plants, you know? I think 2024 will probably be the year that I let some plants go that I'm just not loving anymore. I'll probably end up just propagating them back and getting rid of them. The vines are even like not even attached to the pole anymore. I don't know. It's a cool philodendron. Like, if you have this one, I think it's a cool, like, dark shaped one, and the leaves and everything. But I've struggled with this one. It hasn't been the easiest of growers for me, so definitely not one of my favorites anymore. So Philodendron Burle Marx Fantasy. We are out here in my dining area for the next few that are on my least favorite list. And the next one is this sad looking philodendron. This is a philodendron painted lady. And although I did have this plant very big and beautiful at one time, I bought it big, it was gorgeous. I immediately fell in love with it. And I ended up chopping it back before I moved because it came down with thrips and I didn't want to take the chance of it coming here. And I kind of neglected it for a bit. I salvaged what I could. I ended up having, I think, 2 separate plants with a couple nodes each, and they just haven't done that well. You can kind of see the new growth just isn't that happy. I've lost some leaves. It was outside for a while this summer because I kind of just stuck it out there, and it didn't do well. It didn't really get enough light. I was at the big box store recently and I saw Costa had big ones, and I had that urge to like buy it. And I'm like, no, Melissa, you have one, you don't need it. But this is what mine looks like. I do not like how mine looks. It's very sad and pitiful. Such a sad philodendron right now. I don't know. I don't know what my plan is again. With these plants in this last group here that I'm showing you, I don't know. I don't love this. I don't like looking at this. I think if you have a nice one and it's beautiful and it's pretty, I feel like it would definitely move up on my list, but the state of mine and how it currently looks does not bring me any joy whatsoever. Next up in my least favorite group is Philodendron Jose Bueno. I loved this plant at one point, I really did. And obviously it's in water. I had to propagate it. I feel like I kind of neglected mine and I feel really bad about that. I had it outside all summer and it did well. I kept putting off repotting it. And then I think the substrate stayed too wet, which caused it to rot out. So at the end of summer, I just decided to chop away the base and I stuck the whole thing in water, and we are slowly but surely rooting back. I think it's a cool philodendron. I love variegated plants. I think the leaves that have pretty cool variegation are beautiful. Mine isn't super variegated, I would say. I mean, it's still like a nice philodendron. Mine actually started from a cutting as well. I think I'll definitely, like when it's time, when it grows enough roots, I'll get it potted back up and probably restaked. And maybe I'll like it in some time. I feel like it was one that was never on my like favorites list. I just feel like I always wanted one because this was back in my collecting days where I had to have every plant that I didn't have. I think I saw this one day and I'm like, yep, I need it. I got it, and then it did okay for a while. It grew very happy until I put it outside, and then I kind of neglected it. I think I'm definitely going to end up keeping this one, even though it's in my least favorite group, just because it did take me so long to get it to this size. And it did so well for a while until it rotted out. So, I mean, I'm happy I have this one, but again, I feel like if it disappeared, I wouldn't be too upset about it. Next up on my least favorite list is Philodendron Billietiae. And mine is actually pretty decent. It's another one that I've sort of neglected outside this year, and I don't think I'm gonna put it back outside for the coming year. I just feel like it kind of got neglected again with like the overall not watering it on time, the harshness weather. It put out some pretty like big size leaves. These are some pretty big leaves compared to my head. I think it caught some sort of fungal issue out there too. I'm probably gonna have to treat this plant. It's gotten cold damage before, it's gotten pest before, it's gotten spider mites. So I think it's a cool plant though. I love the orange petioles. I think the orange petioles are so cute. So I don't know, maybe it'll grow on me. Who knows? Maybe some of these plants will grow on me and I'll end up liking it more. But as of right now, it's not one of my favorites. I think because it's not in its best state, you know? It's not one that is speaking to me or bringing me joy. I did really like this one at one point, so who knows? Maybe I'll end up liking it again here. So this is, again, Philodendron Billietiae. It's a huge plant. Next up is this one here. I don't know if you can see this plant in full. This is a Philodendron Camposportoanum. It's a philodendron I've had in my collection for a while. And this one I actually started from a very small plant, and it grew to the top of this moss pole, I would say in about a year's time. And I ended up chopping it back, and I created two vines. So I have two vines that are side by side growing up a pole. I kind of did a chop and extend in a way where I took the top vine and moved it down to the bottom, and then I added some extra cuttings that I had down here. So the bottom has like some very mature leaves. These were at the top of the pole at one point. So when they kind of mature, the leaves get these cute bunny ear shaped leaves to them. And when they're more juvenile, they kind of look like Philodendron Micans in a way. I liked this at one point, but again, it's just not my favorite plant. And I think the thing that I don't like about some of these philodendrons is the extremely long petioles. They're extremely long. It's hard to really showcase how long they are. But I like a more compact, bushy look, but when you get these really long petioles on a long pole like this, it just doesn't look very attractive. And it's another philodendron that like spider mites. Oh, I just now saw this leaf. Oh, that's a cool leaf. It's one of the newer ones. I hadn't really paid attention to it much. Oh, that's pretty cool, that shape. This one is sitting directly under a grow light, so you can see it's growing up like this. They're all like turning up because I moved its location, so it's growing up towards light. It's doing like a curve. That's so funny. I had to move this plant to make room for my outdoor plants when I brought them in, so the leaves are a little weird and misshapen right now because of the light source. But that one, I'm not gonna lie, that is a cool cool leaf shape right there. That is pretty cool. I feel like if this one disappeared again, I wouldn't be too upset by it. And I don't know if I'm gonna keep this one eventually. Even if I do take a cutting and like restart it and get rid of the rest, I feel like I'm gonna run into the same problem, just not liking the way that it grows. It's just sort of crazy that that leaf that looks like Micans is the same as that when it matures. We'll see what I end up doing with this one eventually, but I'm probably going to end up like propagating and getting rid of this one because yeah, it's just not my favorite. This is one of my newest philodendron that I got imported. I actually didn't pick this one. It was one that was just sent to me. And I feel like the reason it's in my bottom is because I don't really, I haven't had it for that long, so I don't know how it grows. I don't know how the variegation is going to turn out. It's still currently rehabbing, so it's in perlite right now. This is a philodendron, I believe it's a golden violin variegated. And I have seen golden violins in store, and again, I feel like they're not my favorite. So this one is variegated, so maybe it will grow on me. I think the variegation is kind of cool on them. That's what it looks like. So some of the leaves are pretty cool on this plant. So we'll see. It'll have to grow on me in some time, and after it rehabs and I get it potted up, if it does well, then I might like it. I love variegated plants. So I don't really have too much to say on this one other than the fact that it's new. But yeah, I feel like I'm gonna give it some time here and see how it grows and kind of go from there. But I feel like I'm probably not gonna care for this one as much down the road, but we'll see. I don't wanna like say too much bad about it already, but I don't know. I can just tell it's going to be one of those philodendrons just by like the way that it's growing here, that it's not one that's going to be my favorite, but we'll see. I want to give it a chance to grow it first before I like really kick it to the curb, but I don't know. If you have one of these and you like it, let me know, but I feel like, I don't know. I'm just putting it on the bottom for now. We are in one more new spot before we go back to my plant room. I have a couple philodendron in here that are on my bottom. Next up is Philodendron Brandtianum. I've had this thing in this little propagation vessel for over a year. I was going to regrow it at one point. This was originally a prop that I took because I got rid of the other plant that I had, and it's been growing ever since, completely neglected. I was going to just toss this, and I still might. I don't think I'll keep this plant just because it gives me so much trouble. Philodendron Brandtianum just grows really wonky, and I think the leaves are pretty, the leaf shape and the color, but it just, I don't know, it doesn't grow the best. It grows very wonky and it gets very weird. I don't know how to describe this plant, but it's not my favorite. I just figured I would share because I did still have it. It's just been in this propagation bin for ages. I've really neglected some plants in here. The next plant, I'm going to show you this propagation because this is the regular green heartleaf philodendron, the Hederaceum. And I had mine for a very long time. It was the very first plant I did on a moss pole. It was a long time ago, and it was still on a plastic pole up until like last month, and I decided to chop it back. I took cuttings. Those cuttings are rooting in water. And then this was another prop that I had that I'll eventually I'm just gonna do a trailing basket. I'm not gonna do this one on a pole because I do have some other heartleaf philodendron that are on a pole that I'm gonna show you. But just because this one is the regular green, it's not my favorite, and I have ones that I like more than this one. So yeah, I just wanted to pop this one in here and just show you that I still have my regular green. It's just not in the best condition shape right now. So once I get my trailing basket growing, it'll hopefully look good in some time. But yeah, not putting this one on a pole anymore. I think these might be the last two plants in my least favorite category, and they're in this propagation bin that I did last week. This is very recent. You guys haven't seen this. I did a different video for Patreon. This is a perlite propagation bin, and I took care of some neglected plants and propped them up, and I have 2 in here that are not my favorite philodendron, but I'm just gonna undo one side so that I can show you what they are. So first up is another philodendron, and this, since I just did this, they haven't had a chance to root, so I don't really want to undo this all the way, but it's right here. It's Philodendron Mayoi. Oh, that's kind of what the leaves look like, if you can tell. Let me see if I can find another one here, like that. That's what the leaves look like. Philodendron Mayoi. So I've had my Philodendron Mayoi for a while, and it's another one of those plants like the Camposportoanum. I had huge leaves, it caught thrips, and I cut a lot of it back, and it was just kind of in the corner. I didn't like it. Was just one vine, very sparse, long internodal spacing. I decided to chop it back, and I had them rooting in water, all the cuttings. Well, that was like since last August or something, July, August, and I've had them in water this whole entire time, and they were severely neglected. So I most recently chopped the propagations up and stuck them in here. So I'm gonna try again. I'm probably gonna keep 1 or 2 cuttings for me and get rid of the rest, but it's not my favorite philodendron, so I don't even know if I'll keep this. Honestly, I might just get rid of the entire plant. And the next one that's in here is going to be really hard to see. Oh, some of these are actually starting to do something already. Let me see if I can kind of show you down in here. You'll see it's a cutting right here. I have several cuttings in here. It's a Philodendron strawberry shake, and I have this entire row is actually strawberry shake. All the little wet stick nodes to all the way like down here. I ended up propagating my entire plant pack that I had. I had Philodendron strawberry shake for a while, and I never liked mine. I didn't like the way it was growing. And again, same situation. I had it in this room on this. I had an old plant shelf set up, and I severely neglected it. Strawberry shake isn't my favorite philodendron. Mine just wasn't that variegated, and I don't know, I like the pink princess better. So I would rather have the pink princess than the strawberry shake, but that's just kind of my opinion on that. I don't know, maybe if I had one that was prettier or it grew better, then I would like it more, but I blame myself for neglecting this plant. I really did. So it hasn't been my favorite lately, and that's probably my fault. But yeah, we'll see how that does and how it grows. So we're gonna head back into my plant room now, and then that was the group 3. I think that was it on group 3. We're gonna do group 2 next. Group 2 is plants, philodendrons that I love, and I'm happy I have in my collection. Some of these can still fall into group 3, but they're more in group 2, as in like, I don't want to get rid of them, and I do really like them. So we're going to start with those next, and then I can't wait to do group 1 too, because group 1 has some amazing plants. So stick around. The plants are only going to get better. You're going to see me be a lot happier about them, to talk about them. So yeah, I'm going to head in my plant room, and we'll get started with group 2. Kind of chasing the sun a little bit. First plant in group 2 is this one here. This is a Philodendron Mamei, and mine, of course, is a propagation. This is another philodendron that I've had in my collection for a long time. I had it growing like 5 or 6 leaves. It was in a long planter, and it hasn't done well for the past year. I've tried to regrow this plant several times. It's a crawler, and I tend to have a more difficult time with crawlers. It came down with spider mites multiple times. And so yeah, I'm starting over again. And this is gonna be the last time I try and grow this plant. If this plant doesn't grow for me after this go around, I'm not gonna grow it. I am gonna move this plant into pon. It's currently in stratum right now, propagating. And let me show you the leaf. It's such a beautiful plant leaf. And the reason why I like this one so much is because I don't have a plant that has ruffles on the petiole. I think the ruffles are so cool. Can you see those little ruffles right along the edge? It's like a little ribbon. I just think that is so unique. And I have a ton of roots in here growing back. So yeah, I am happy that I have this one. I'm happy to give it one more go around. But again, if it doesn't do well this time, that is it. I am done with this plant. I know there's like a silver cloud version, I believe, but this one I think is just a regular Mamei. So we'll see. I have a feeling it's gonna like growing in pon because I do have another philodendron that is in my favorite group that I put in pon last month or the month before, and it loves it. So yeah, I do really like this one, and I like this one a lot better than the plants that were in the last group that I showed you. So that is my little story and a situation with this guy. Really chasing the sunlight. Next plant in my middle group is this one here. This is a Philodendron White Knight. And mine most recently was a big box store plant purchase. I got this one probably a few months ago, or at least maybe 4 or 5 months ago, something like that. And mine grew so fast. It was in my IKEA cabinet behind me up until last week. And I recently took it out. It's on a grow pole. And it's okay. Mine doesn't have the best color. I think that was the best leaf I got. And then the newest one is like all green right there. And look at the crazy root system on this plant. It is literally insane. All these roots are coming out of the top of the pole. I have one coming out of the middle here. The aerial roots are just crazy. This guy's technically like a self-header, so it really doesn't need a moss pole. I just really did it for support, but I'm not really keeping the pole like overly moist or anything like that. I'm not really taking the time to do that. And my stem base is getting a very, very chunky. Again, like I'm happy I have this one and I do like it. I wish mine had more color though. I was really hoping the genetics on this one would have been better, but that is okay. I still like it. I'm just gonna let it continue to climb and go from there. Again, I don't know eventually how I'll feel about this plant or if I'll keep it, but I don't know. It was just, I was there, I saw it, and it was just one of those purchases that I'm gonna buy it because I don't have it, and if I can grow one like my pink princess, you know, I would love it. So we'll see. It's in my middle group because I'm happy about it, but I'm not like overly obsessed with it, although this leaf is very beautiful. I probably should have gotten the white princess because I think those can have pink leaves. Is it the white princess that can pop those pink leaves? White knight, white princess. Isn't there another one? I thought there was like a third one. I can't think of it. White knight, white princess. There is another one, but I don't know what it is. So yeah, that is my Philodendron White Knight. And yeah, it's much happier out of the cabinet. It's not drying out as quickly. And it seems less stressed for sure. Okay, new direction, out of the sun a little bit. Next plant I'm going to show you, I technically have 3 like separate little plants, cuttings, and I'm going to end up potting them all up together, I believe, into one. It's another plant, it's another crawler that I've had for a really long time and struggled to grow this plant, man. This has been a difficult philodendron for me. But I'm gonna put it into pon and I feel like it's gonna love it and do a lot better. It's another one like the Philodendron Mamei. I feel like I'm gonna give it one more try, and if it doesn't do well this time, then I'm not gonna grow it because I feel like lately I'm like getting pretty particular with my collection. I feel like if you're gonna be such a struggle to grow and just give me such a hassle, I don't really want you in my collection. So next is Philodendron Gloriosum. This is a new leaf. It is beautiful. I fell in love with these pillowy leaves a long time ago. This is my original plant. I got this as birthday plant mail back in 2021. Yes, so this plant is over 2 years old. So this is just a cutting. I ended up cutting mine. This is the stump that I took here. And this was the first little leaf. It popped out, and that's the newest leaf. And this is another little original leaf. So I ended up propping mine, and it's in stratum because it wasn't happy. It was in soil. This is the other chunk that I took here. This leaf isn't the happiest. I do have a new leaf coming in here, so we'll see what that, oh shoot, what that ends up doing. Yeah, we're gonna have to stick this down in here a little bit better. Oop. I most recently cut this one, so this was another long chunk, and I cut it in half again because this one wasn't growing. So since I sliced it, I now have like a couple more activation points here. So I technically have 2 stumps into this one, and then I have 1 stump there, and then I have this smaller node from that. So this is another smaller one that I have in soil that is in my IKEA cabinet currently. It most recently came down with spider mites, and it's gotten some underwatering stress, but it's doing okay. This is a newer leaf here. I've always dreamed of having like a really big plant of this one day. Like I'm envisioning a long planter with these huge pillowy leaves, except mine has never really gotten there. This one is my favorite just because it looks the best. It looks the happiest. So I may end up just doing the one. We'll see. I don't know how many chunks I actually want to put into the planter, or if I even want to do this one. Yeah, Philodendron Gloriosum. I still really like this plant. It's not like in my favorites because I've struggled with it, but it's in that middle realm where I do really love it. I love the veining on it especially. And I think there's like a zebra version of this too, right? Gloriosum zebra. But this one I just love. I love the veining and the color. So I'm hoping I can grow it back one day. Crossing my fingers. I'm gonna put it into pond probably once it gets enough little root system here. I'm gonna probably transfer it. So yeah, it's just been a difficult one for me. I'm realizing as I go through this video, I have a lot of philodendron that I'm just not happy with. And it's kind of like putting into perspective that, man, I should really probably downsize and get rid of some of these plants. I think I would honestly feel a lot better than trying to grow some of them and keep some of them alive if I should just like get rid of them altogether. It's tough. It's tough for me to get rid of plants sometimes, but I really think I do need to downsize this collection. Up next is another one that I've struggled to grow. This is a Philodendron Melanochrysum. And if you've grown Melanochrysum, you know the struggle with this plant. This is another one I've recently redone again. This isn't my original Melanochrysum. My original one I no longer have. It didn't make it. This is one that I got imported last summer, and it was in really rough shape when it came to me. And I kind of propagated it up. I rehabbed it back, and I had it most recently on like a 3-foot tall moss pole. It did well until the pole started drying out too much, and this plant just didn't like it. It's known to be a difficult grower. It gets wonky leaves all the time, and it's very stubborn with its water consistency. So most recently I put it into pond. It's now in pond, and I have it on a grow pole. So it hasn't really had a chance to really grow back yet. It does have a new leaf up here coming in. And it also has this like powdery mildew thing on some of the leaves. So I most recently sprayed it with a fungicide. So we'll see. We'll see what this plant looks like next year. I'm hoping it really likes pond. So far it seems to like it, and it seems to be doing well. It just hasn't been in here that long. I think this has only been in here for a couple of weeks. It's another one of these plants, these philodendron, that I'm like, if this plant isn't happy or if I don't like the way it grows this time around, I'm not growing it anymore. People are saying I should do Philodendron gigas instead because it's kind of similar, but it's a lot less finicky than Melanochrysum. I think the mature form of Melanochrysum is pretty cool. Those like elongated leaves are really beautiful. But yeah, it's another one that's been a little stubborn. So hoping its new home and environment does this plant better. It's in my key cabinet currently because I feel like it's gonna get better light and overall like consistency with humidity and stuff in there too. It's a little bit more humid because now that we are like heading into winter, I feel like this plant's gonna be happier in my cabinet. So we'll see. And the pond is keeping the moss moist, it being in pond. So I feel like that's going to encourage this plant to not grow wonky. So fingers crossed for Melanochrysum. We'll see how it does this time. Next plant is this one. This is Philodendron like Hederaceum lemon lime. It's like the green version, but it's all neon colored. I've had mine for a while. It's kind of been in some different lighting situations. It started as a pretty small plant. I've tried to propagate it and add some cuttings in, but a lot of those cuttings didn't make it. You can see there's some newer happy growth up top. It's because it's getting more light now. The more burnt orangey color is like the new growth that's coming in. So it definitely appreciates the light that it's getting. I'm still not like happy with the way this plant has grown. So I'll probably eventually propagate this and again, try to get like a really full bushy plant growing because it's not the fullest up top. But I love the neon color. I think it's so pretty. I've always loved this plant. Every time I see a new one at the big box store, I've seen like really big full baskets. Part of me just wants to be like, can I just switch places with my plant? Because it looks so much better than mine. And I'm like, I don't know. I just appreciate when they're really big and full and they have those beautiful leaves. But I'm gonna keep this one trailing. I just have too many climbing plants right now, and I just feel like I don't want this to even try this one climbing. I have a Aberpeminum neon pothos, that one climbing, so I don't really need this one climbing. But I think it's a beautiful plant. I'm very happy with it. I love this one. I love the color. So hoping it grows better for me in some time. But again, it's made a lot of progress for how long I've had this and how small it started. It's doing well, so I'm very happy with it, and hopefully, yeah, it'll just fill out in some time. It's not like, I feel like it's not one that like grows super fast and it's not overwhelming, meaning it doesn't stress me out as much because it's not like growing at an exponential rate and stressing me out as like what's going to happen in these plants in some time because they're getting too big. So yeah, I really like the lemon lime. If you come across the lemon lime, I say go for it. I definitely think it's such a beautiful plant and I love the color. Next philodendron in group 2 is one that's most recently started to grow a little bit better. This plant has struggled, you guys. This is a Philodendron Serpens. The newest leaf is really beautiful. It's got an interesting color and tone. And this plant has the fuzziest petioles of all time. You can see the fuzz. Oh my goodness. It's so cool. I would put this in my like top one, but it's struggled and I've had a rough time with it. I got it as a cutting and it had a fungal issue. I rooted it back, I potted it up, and then something in it, then it rotted. So then I had to propagate it and start over. And so this is my like propagated cutting that was salvageable. It was growing in my cabinet up until recently. I rearranged my cabinet and cleaned it. So I just took it out. It had some yellowing. I don't know if it was just stress from that environment. And it was growing up to the light. I feel like it was kind of a lot of light for this plant maybe. I'm not sure, but I recently took it out and hopefully it grows better. I think once this one grows more, it'll probably move up to like one of my top favorites because I think the fuzzy petioles are so cool. It's so unique. And I love the color and the tone and the texture of this one. And I'm kind of liking the way that it grows. I like plants that have shorter internodal spacing. At least it appears to be growing that way. It may stretch out over time, but I hope not. I think I like this one probably the most out of the ones I've showed you so far. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one. It's one that's like up and coming, and I'm excited for what happens. But if it doesn't do well, I'm gonna be very sad because yeah, I saw this plant on Instagram and I immediately fell in love with it, and I had to do a search for it and buy it, and I bought a cutting and it was so expensive for a cutting, but I just had to go for it because I thought it was such a beautiful philodendron. I'm really happy that I have it. So now that it's kind of growing, I'm like hopeful that it's going to do well for me and that I can grow it. So fingers crossed for this one. So Philodendron Serpens, such a cool plant, and I really love this one. I really love this one. This is Philodendron Tortum, and the only reason it's not in my top group, or I probably should move this one to my top group, the only reason is because I haven't had it for that long. So I feel like I haven't really had time to appreciate it yet and really like fall in love with it. It is very new within like the last few months. I got this one as an import, and this is the newest leaf here it's working on. I think it's such a cool philodendron. It's not like a typical philodendron, but I think it's so cool and so unique, and it's rooting very well. It's definitely going to be one of my top favorites. I feel like coming up, like once it starts growing better and doing better for me and actually grows, I just think the leaves are so cool. It's so unique. It's hard to make it out, but it's so cool. I'm really happy I have the Tortum. I feel like people are finding these pop up at big box stores, which is so interesting and cool that you can actually find these plants more readily available. I always wanted one back in the day, and I never like came across one. I always told myself if I ever come across a Tortum, I'll buy it because I've always liked it. I've always liked the leaf shape and everything. I think it's so cool and so unique, but it's not quite up there as my favorite yet because again, I just haven't had it that long. So I need more time to like appreciate it more. So I have a few more plants left in this group 2 category, and then we're going to move on to my top favorite philodendrons. Next up is this one here, and I really like this one. I feel like, again, I would put this one in my top favorites, except I really haven't had it for too long. I got this one earlier this year. This is actually a tissue culture. I grew this from a baby, tiny little packet, a little container of 10 tissue cultures. This is 2 plants in here, 2 of the tissue cultures. And this is one that I'm keeping because this one has the best color. This is I don't think I told you what it is. The Philodendron Giganteum Variegated is what it was called. And I think it's so beautiful. Like, look at that variegation. Absolutely stunning. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous plant. I think this one is probably, again, like the Tortum, is probably going to move into my favorite list because it's so beautiful. I think the pattern and the color and the variegation is so pretty. I just think it's such a beautiful plant. Like, look at that. How gorgeous is that? I'm not showing you all of them for this video. I do have 3 other plants of this one. Some of these plants I have multiple of, but I'm not going to show you like all of them because a lot of them are cuttings that I'm not going to keep, or plants like this. I have 3 other ones of this one that are in my collection, but I'm not going to keep those. I'm going to get rid of those. So I'm only going to show you the ones that I'm keeping. March 19th is when I started the tissue culture process on this, and it's grown this much since March, which is crazy. I just think it's so beautiful. Such a beautiful philodendron. This one's definitely going to move up on the list for sure. Next plant in group 2 is this one here. You can see her in full. This one is a Philodendron Silver Stripe, and it's kind of like the Hederaceum in a way, like the heart-shaped leaves, except this one has like just like the name, a silver stripe down the middle. It kind of has a couple different colors, like a white and like light green center. I know the sun is kind of like in the way. I don't know if you can make that out. So there's a plant that's similar to this, like the Rio and the Cream Splash. They all have a little bit of a different variegation color pattern. I do really like this one. I'm happy I have it, but I will say I'm not a fan of it climbing because I don't know if you've noticed, the leaves have gotten just a little bit bigger, but it's kind of losing the stripiness, the color to it. It's now becoming more like a heart leaf. Like this one's actually all green. So that one has no more color. And yeah, it's just not getting very prominent the taller it climbs. Like down here is very silver stripy. You can see all that color, but then it loses it as it climbs. I'm a little disappointed in that. I thought for sure it would like maintain that color. So I don't know. I love this one. I love like the heart-shaped leaves, and the silver stripe has like a very pointed tip to it. I've always loved like all the heart leaf philodendrons. So I still really like this one. I'm happy I have it. I'll probably eventually, I don't know if I'll keep it climbing eventually. It's very bushy, which I like, the more compact bushy look, but I don't want this to keep climbing and then not having any of the gorgeous color come back, because I feel like that's what makes this plant so special, is all the silver stripiness. So yeah, if you get this plant, I would say, I don't know how you want to grow it, but I would say if it climbs, you may take that chance of the reversion happening. But I think if you can maintain the stripiness to it, it will look a lot better and be prettier. So I don't know eventually what I'll do, if I'll end up just taking it off and doing a trailing basket or something. I'm not really sure, but it is just, yeah, I'm just like not happy with this. So this is supposed to be the better growth. You know, as it climbs, it gets bigger and prettier. So I like this part. I don't care so much for this part. Next up is one of my like tried and true classic plants, kind of similar to the silver stripe I just showed you, except this is the Brazil. It has like the lime green in the center. Very common plant. Unfortunately, mine had a bit of a setback earlier this year. I had my Brazil for a very long time. It was so long, and then after I moved here, I actually planted it on that wall behind me. I had these shelves moved in a different direction, and I had it climbing on the wall, and it was attaching, and it was doing so well. And then I decided I didn't want it on the wall anymore. It was like too much maintenance, and I really wanted to like move my shelving around. So I took it off the wall here, and then I put it on the other wall when it was climbing up. It was so pretty. But again, I just like, I don't know, I wanted it climbing on the wall, but then it was just like too much. It's taking up too much space for one plant. So I took it down, and unfortunately it suffered rot. So I had to start over with it. This is all cuttings that I took off of it that I could salvage. And I just planted it back up not too long ago into like a soil mix. So it's kind of like all on one side. I think I will probably propagate this again, like probably take some cuttings here and make like a full basket back. I don't know, I just think the leaves are so pretty on it. I just feel, I don't know, I just feel like it's a plant everyone has to own. I don't know. It's definitely one of my top favorite like philodendrons, like easygoing, super common. And I love it trailing. As much as I love my climbing plants, I love my trailing plants too. So I love Philodendron Brasil. The reason why it's not in my like top favorite is, I guess, because I just have ones that I like a little bit more than this one. But still, I still really love the Brasil, and I'm so happy with it. So it's still definitely one of my top favorite plants. It's just in that middle group because it's had a bit of a setback, I think. The next two plants that I'm going to show you in my like middle group, they're a little big, and I can't really show you them. Like there's not really a clear wall that I can show you without them being so overwhelming. I think I might just take you to their spot and show you, because you can probably see them a little bit better. Maybe I'll just like pull them to the wall a little bit, but they've gotten so big. It's hard to really see them in their entirety. Next plant that's kind of in the middle of the realm is this huge Philodendron Florida Beauty. It has gotten so big. The petioles on this plant are so long. It's a gorgeous plant, and I love, 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 love the variegation. This is one of the newer leaves, and it is stunning. Stunning, especially like these ones. the color and everything. I love this philodendron. The reason that it's not like in my actual favorite is, again, I feel like the petioles are getting like super long, and this plant has gotten so wide that it's taking up a lot of space. The variegation is somewhat unstable as well. I've gotten some like pretty green growth. It hasn't fully reverted, although I do have another one that did revert. I really do love the Philodendron Floridas, and I adore this plant. I feel like I just need to tie up the petioles a little bit better or something, but it's getting massive. I kind of have it shoved into this little area. It's such a gorgeous plant. I do really love this plant. I'm happy that I have it. This one was imported last summer, so it's grown a ton. Like, the top leaves have gotten so mature. It's definitely a beautiful plant as long as I get this gorgeous variegation. It's stunning. It's just, I feel like I want to grow it a little differently somehow, or maybe do a forward light so the leaves can turn more forward instead of up. I'm not really sure, but I do really, really love this plant. I think for some of these next plants, I might just like bring them out here so you can see them. My plant room, shoot, is pretty crowded. Look at this huge plant, you guys. Do you see this? This is a variegated philodendron Burle Marx. It is massive. Yeah, I need to figure out some kind of support or do something with this plant because it's very wobbly. It has grown way past the stake in here. Although I do love this plant, it's not one of my favorites. This is probably kind of lower down on my middle group, so some of the other ones I showed you I like more than this one. But this one is just such a spider mite magnet. Every time I get spider mites, this guy gets them. And it's just so big, and it reverts easily. It's another one that can grow all green. It's very unstable, but look, look how big it is. This plant I got, I'll put a picture on the screen of what this plant looked like when it was a lot smaller. So this has probably grown in about a year and a half since that time. It is a huge plant, very big. Although I do think it is a beautiful plant with the variegation. You can see the variegation is stunning. I feel like once I get it chopped back and staked better and get it manicured, I'll like it a little bit more. I mean, I still really love this plant. It's just, again, such a spider mite magnet. And it has overgrown exceptionally. It's just, gotten out of hand. So yeah, I'm going to put this big guy back, and then I'm going to start showing you my top favorite philodendrons now, the ones I get excited to talk about, and I can't wait to show you them all because they're just like, some of them are huge, you guys. They're very impressive plants and I adore them. But again, no particular order. I'm just kind of grouping them like this for the video. So some I like more than others, but again, I just love them all so much. We are into the last group now. Some of these are still kind of small. They're not huge yet, but they're gonna get big. This one here is a pretty new plant in my collection. It's a Philodendron Ring of Fire, and I've just gotten to really like this one a lot lately. I don't know what it is. And I think it's just like such a cool, unique leaf shape. This one has some pretty good color, some variegation on it. That's the newest leaf that's kind of hardening. I got lucky and found mine at a plant shop here. And I don't know, I just think it's so cool. It's just like drawn to me for some reason. It's not like one of my top favorites, but I really love it and I'm excited for the growth that I'm gonna get. I hope I get some like really beautiful, like, I feel like I've seen some of these with like patches of pink, like tone to it, and I just think the leaves are so beautiful. I'm excited for mine though. I hope it does well and it grows well for me. I think it sort of reminds me of the caramel marble, that expensive one. I think I probably want one of those in my future one day, but I'm really happy with this one. I think it's so cute. I'm so happy with it and I'm glad that I bought it. So yeah, I got this one earlier this year and I put it on this poll thing in a video, and yeah, I just think it's so cute. So definitely one of my top favorites right now. Look at this beauty. Look at that. I cannot describe to you how gorgeous this plant is. And do you see what I see? Right here, I see a new growth point. This is a Philodendron El Choco Red. It's got 4 leaves currently and a 5th one on the way. And obviously this leaf is the most impressive and perfect because this is the first leaf this plant gave me after putting this plant into pon. I moved it to pon, wasn't last month. I don't think. I think it was the month before, and it loves it. And I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with these plant leaves, and it's just gorgeous right now. I don't know what it is. This plant is so beautiful. I've struggled with this plant. Don't get me wrong. I've had mine for a really long time again, but I think these pillowy leaves and everything, it's so pretty. I don't know. I can't stop like boinging it. I hope it does well. It seems like it's doing well in pon. I feel like it's gonna love being in this substrate, at least. I hope so. Like pon, I've only been using pon for, I would say, going on 5 months. So I still consider myself new with it, but the plants that I have in it are loving it and enjoying it. And I am gonna be so freaking excited to see this new leaf. Like, look at that. I can already tell it's gonna be a massive leaf. And they have the beautiful red backings too. Such a gorgeous philo. Definitely one of my top favorites right now. It's so beautiful. And I just adore this plant so much. I can't wait to see what it does when it grows more. I can't tell if mine wants to climb or crawl. Right now, I'm not really sure. I can't tell, but yeah, right now I'm loving it and it's so beautiful and so happy that it's doing better. So yeah, Philodendron El Choco Red. Look, it's a Philodendron Florida Ghost. And this plant is so gorgeous, you guys. I just can't with this plant. It is so stunning. I just freaking adore this plant so much. I hope you can make her out okay. Such a gorgeous plant. Now again, like the Philodendron Florida Beauty that you saw, it has like the long petioles, but this one's kind of more compact. Maybe it's just the way that I have mine growing. I'm not sure. But she's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I love these leaves. I love the shape. I love that they come in more like minty and ghosty and they kind of fade to a bit of a darker green. I've seen these grow kind of all white and I've seen them fade into like a more dark green, but I feel like the color on mine's been pretty good lately. This is the newest leaf here, this one. And I even have some that have stayed kind of more white towards the bottom here. I think this one is my favorite because of that mint color. I love minty plant leaves. So I love the Florida Ghost so much. I just think it's such a beautiful plant. I'm so happy with it. Yeah, one of my top favorite philodendrons. And I would say one of my top favorite plants. I grew this back from a node actually. I got this, I think I got mine in 2021 and yes, that's what I remember. I got mine in 2021 from an online, I think I got mine on eBay and it was big and I ended up chopping it back to sell some cuttings. And then ever since I did that, it kind of took a bit of a hit. So I started over with the node and this is the growth that I have now. So she's got some great genes in her. And I think these leaves down here are just absolutely incredible. So I love her and I love the way she's growing and yes, I love this plant so much. Next plant is this one here and she is super, super tall. This is a Philodendron Hederaceum variegata. So it's like the heart leaf, like the all green and the neon that I showed you, similar to the Brasil, except this is the variegated version. And I adore this freaking plant. Look at those leaves. How stunning is she? Clearly I am overdue on the extension there. I need to add more moss. I'm a little bit behind. But unlike the silver stripe that I showed you, I feel like this plant isn't losing any of the color. The leaves have definitely gotten bigger, but I still feel like she has plenty of gorgeous color as she climbs still. And I think it's such a beautiful plant. It does kind of fade over time. Like these are some of the bottom growth, and you can kind of see how darker down here they've gotten over time. You can still see the variegation though. And as it climbs, it's kind of gotten a little bit more vibrant. I have some very cool like splotches of variegation there. I adore this plant so much. I got mine a long time ago as a cutting as well. This plant has been with me for a very, very long time. I am proud to have grown her to what she is today. And definitely one of my plants that I would have to own in my collection. This is my top favorite heartleaf, I guess, out of the Brazil, silver stripe, neon that I have. This one is my favorite. So even if I just had this one and the other ones disappeared, I would be okay with that. But this one, I have to have this one. I'm so happy I purchased that cutting when I did. It's such a gorgeous plant. So yes, I would say if you don't have a variegated heartleaf, get one because you will not be disappointed in it. Like, come on, look at that. Look at that. So yes, I love this plant so much, so happy with it. And I think my plan is I'm probably going to keep like here up, and then I'll probably get rid of the base, propagate these up, and then extend onto here. And yeah, just share some cuttings because I want her to keep growing like this and let this keep growing up. I keep like wanting to like cascade and pet her too, if that's weird. I love her. Clearly, I'm obsessed. Next up is Philodendron Pink Princess. I've always loved the Pink Princess, and I have 4 of them actually now. I will insert a clip of all of them together. I will say I've had a setback with my like original one. I do have like a very old Pink Princess video on my channel, and I featured both plants in it. So my original one I got as a cutting that grew, and then I chopped it back and it activated a node to grow all pink. So last summer, I think early summer, I chopped it all the way back, and then I had several nodes growing back, and only one of them survived because of thrips. And the only one that survived is this one here. This one has grown back since last summer, and it has some good color. It's a pretty pink princess, I would say, and it's got some like kind of light pink down here, and then kind of some darker pink a little bit up top. The newest leaf isn't that pink though, which is kind of sad. I'm like, where's the pink? But yeah, I'm very happy with this one, and this one's actually matured where it's growing out of its own caterpillar now. You can kind of see its own caterpillar right here, and then the new growth will like keep growing out of the caterpillar, so that's pretty cool. But I love this one. I feel like it's sentimental and like it's been with me for a while because this one is my OG one. And then I got a different one that was way more pink. So I got this one from Facebook Marketplace back in the day, and I had no idea the genetics on this plant was going to be amazing. She doesn't look good now. She's in a bit of a rehab state. I'll insert some footage of what she looks like when she was pretty in full. She was so pink, so beautiful. And I think what happened is she got a little unhappy with the root system and had some rot issues. So I ended up like chopping her back. I took some cuttings, and then then she came down with spider mites too. So I took like a big hefty top cut, and then I had it rooting for a while. I potted it up recently, and it took a bit of a hit. This is what she looks like now. She's very sad still. I don't know. I feel like I kind of want to put her into pond. She's got like somewhat of like a healthy root system growing, but I feel like this one hasn't been happy, and it's like my OG one that was so pink and so beautiful. This one is mature too. It's growing out of its own caterpillar. Clearly I've gotten a lot of browning on the pink parts that happened. I had to cut away. She's very, very, very pink. But good news is I have cuttings from her that are growing, and they're very, very pink. I have 2 separate cuttings in here. Like, look at that. This is still like in stratum. I'm still technically like propagating these here. So what I'm thinking is I might do, I don't know if I'm going to keep both of these, but I think I might do them in pond together and let this grow in pond. Just because I feel like they're a little bit prone to root rot in a sense, and I definitely want to keep one of these as like a backup pink princess in case something does happen to this one, and I don't want to lose the variegation because it's such a pink princess. I got so lucky with that one, and it was like a Facebook Marketplace find of all places. So I'm very happy with the color, obviously, on her cuttings. I actually have one more of the prop that is in the other room. It's just like one leaf that's starting to activate growth, so I didn't feel like showing it for this video. I feel like I'm losing breath. And then I got this one. So this one was a recent purchase at a big box store. It's more marbled, like here, it's more like marbled variegation. Oop. I don't know if you can tell. And it had some like half moons, but I found this at the big box store and I was like, there is no way I cannot not get this. And the new leaves that have come in like so small. Look at that, it's so weird. So it doesn't look the best right now, but I'm hoping as it grows, it will do better. I kind of gave it some support, and it's in a very aerated mix. So I think it just has to take time to root in here and establish and grow. But I feel like if this one gets this pretty marbling, it would be very pretty, especially if it already has like good genes. I felt like this one was too good of a color to pass up from a big box store. You know, I feel like I had to get this one. And it had another half moon leaf that broke off. It had another half moon when I bought it originally. So I'm kind of giving it time to settle in. I feel like it's still adjusting to being in here. So yes, I have all these pink princesses, but I'm very curious, like over time, what I'll do with all of them, or if I'll end up keeping all of them, I'm not sure, but I definitely don't need all 4 of these. I think as of right now, these props are my favorite because they're like the healthiest right now. But this one is now like my biggest one because she's been growing back for about a year, I would say. So I like Pink Princess Philodendron. I like it much better than the Strawberry Shake. And I don't know, I'm very happy with mine. I don't really care for the burgundy too much. Like if it was just the burgundy, I wouldn't like it, I feel like. But I'm very happy with mine and all the pink. So yes, Pink Princess Philodendron. It's still one of my top favorite philodendron. Next up is Philodendron Micans. I have 3 different varieties I'm going to show you. And I love Philodendron Micans. I have a huge one I'm going to show you that's climbing on a moss pole. And I have a couple other ones. I actually have 4, technically 4 Micans. I have 2 regular, one climbing and one in a trailing basket. That was props off of that one. And then I have this one, which is the Halo. And I also have a new one, the Aurea, that I want to show you. So this is the Halo Micans here. I recently did a little project on this one. I had it climbing and I took it off. I will say the Halo Micans isn't my favorite. I definitely could probably do without this one in my collection, but I just grouped it in with Philodendron Micans because I love Micans. But I think the Halo version is kind of cool. It has like, I guess it's the Halo because of the white leaves on the margin, I guess. You can kind of see. It's definitely an odd shape to it. And some of the leaves kind of have some pinky hues and tones. I don't know if any of mine are really pink right now. It's hard to make out. I did take several props, so I have those like in a separate vessel. So she kind of looks a little crazy right now because she hasn't really had a chance to fill and grow in or anything yet, but I'm hoping having her in a trailing basket, I will appreciate this plant more. It just looked really weird climbing on a pole because the leaves are so tiny. And this one was reverting a lot too. I took a lot of those reversion leaves away that were going back to all green. So yeah, I still like this plant. I'm happy I have it, but probably out of all the Micans, this one's probably my least favorite. I think I like the original better than this one. Oh no, cry face. So this is the Aurea that was imported, and the most beautiful leaf is gone. It's a yellow goner, and it had like spit some reverted ones out. So I'm very sad about that. I'll put like a footage of what it looked like when I first unboxed the import because it was beautiful, but my initial reaction was, oh no, it's reverted. I feel like once I actually get to grow this one, it's going to be one of my top favorite philodendrons. I'm definitely going to like this one over the regular Micans. It's just, yeah, I just got this one imported like last month, so it really hasn't had time to do anything yet. It's still very much rehabbing. It does have a new leaf that it's spitting out, but I can't tell if it's variegated or not. It's still like very, very new. Part of me doesn't think that it is, but I can't tell yet. I am going to be propagating this though, especially since I lost some of these leaves. It's so sad now. I'm probably going to just like prop the whole thing. Like this leaf, you can tell I'm losing this one too. So I'm only going to be left with like the reverted leaves. Not too happy about this right now, but I have hope. I have hope that this one is going to do better and grow better. Crossing my fingers that I get some color to come back once I propagate this plant. It is rooting in here. It's just, yeah, this one didn't have a very like decent root system at all, but there's like one little root right here that it is growing. So yeah, I'll probably be propagating this one up soon though. Are you ready for the moss pole? Because I don't know if I'm ready. You can't even see this entire moss pole. I think if I stand back here, you won't even see her in full. Look at this. So this is like on the floor and me. We're the same height on the floor. Philodendron Micans. I love Micans. I mean, come on. Oh, I love this plant. I haven't actually, I don't think, shown my Micans in a while, but I adore Philodendron Micans. I'm seeing these pop up at the big box store for like, I saw a nice one in a trailing basket. It was like a small one, but it was 12, 13 bucks. I remember these used to be so hard to come by. I love this plant. Let me show you her velvety goodness leaves. Like, come on. How can you not love this plant? New leaves come in like that burnt orange color. Oh, so gorgeous. Clearly mine is on a huge moss pole. I've been growing my Micans on a pole for a very long time. I would say since December of 2021. Yeah, December of 2021, December, November. And she's been through several kind of chop situations, but yeah, she's done well. She's amazing. She's beautiful. I can't recommend Philodendron Micans enough. I love her. I just want to give her a big hug. She's gorgeous. What I'm doing now is, since she's well reached the top of the pole, I have been trailing the vines back down the pole. She's kind of sparse in the back, but eventually she'll kind of fill in and just be a very, very bushy pole. But for now, I don't plan on chopping or doing anything with her. And that's kind of the base. Like she's very, she's very voluptuous all the way up. So I adore this plant. I love Micans so much, and one of my definite top favorite philodendrons. Oh, I almost forgot to show you this one. This is all cuttings from the pole that I took, and it's starting to grow and trail. So it has some pretty big leaves here in the middle, and all these like new vines, since they're all like propagated cuttings, they're smaller than the original leaves. I just couldn't fit them all into the moss pole when I had chopped it before. So this one I'm gonna let trail. I actually had a very long, beautiful Micans in my dining room here. It was so gorgeous. I got that plant from Ace, my local Ace, and it was so beautiful. It got so long, it trailed, and then it got spider mites and they just wouldn't go away, and the whole thing just ended up rotting out. I had repotted it and it just didn't do good in that mix, and yeah, I'm so sad about that, but this one is going to become that new plant. So once this one grows more, I'm probably going to put it back in that spot and get it growing and trailing, because as much as I love climbing philodendron, I love trailing ones too. But this one's very cute and petite the way that it is. I love like cute little plants like this. Sometimes I wish they could stay small like this and not grow and just like look this way forever. I don't know. But yeah, I love Micans, so I just wanted to show you that one. Okay, we have 5 more plants left, and that is it. They're all moss poles that I'm going to show you. No particular order really on like favorites per se. It's really hard to choose a favorite. I think the next 2 that I'm going to show you are at the bottom of the 5, and I think the other 3 that I'm going to show you are my top favorites. But I love them all. So next up is a Philodendron Verrucosum. This is the newest leaf. She's gorgeous. Let me show you. She's on a pretty tall pole. This is the bottom, and then that is her up top. I do have 2 vines growing, so I actually have another leaf coming in here, and then this is the other vine here. Verrucosum has been a struggle plant for me to grow. It has taken a long time for me to get this plant to how it is today, and I still feel like it's a struggle one for me. It's just one that's very, very picky in particular, and it gets spider mites. It battled a fungal issue earlier this year, which I'm not convinced it's completely gone, because I have some like another leaf that looks a little fungal to me, so I might spray it with a fungicide. Yeah, it's been a difficult one, not gonna lie. It's a gorgeous plant, don't get me wrong. Like that leaf, come on, look at that. And the backside, let me show you the backside. This is probably one of the prettiest backsides I have ever seen on a plant before. Like, come on. Look at how gorgeous the backside is. It's just so beautiful. Like that color on the back, come on. And not to mention the fuzzy petiole, all the fuzzies, and the fuzzy on that one. Absolutely stunning. I love this plant. It's been difficult. I need to like get some moss in here ASAP. But I'm happy with it. I love it. It's made like one of my top favorite plants. It's taken a while though, you guys. It's taken a while. This plant was embarrassing. Like last April, it was very pitiful. I thought it wasn't going to make it. This is again like my 3rd time trying to grow this very same plant. I cannot believe the same plant has been in my collection for as long as it has. It was like plant mail back in the day that arrived 2 weeks late in winter, dead, covered in spider mites. I salvaged like a couple like little nodes that grew. But yeah, I've had to chop this plant over and start over 2 other times since then. So if you are struggling with this plant, trust me, I have been there. I know what it's like. So yeah, Philodendron Verrucosum. Next up is another humongous moss pole. This here is Philodendron Glorious. Goes all the way down. You can't even see like the very bottom of her. Huge. She's a little unsteady, so I can't like let her go per se. She's my next chop project because she is well beyond the top of the pole. Let me tilt her so you can see the leaves. It's a hybrid. It's a cross between Verrucosum and Gloriosum. That's why it kind of resembles the Gloriosum in a way. Pillowy, gorgeous leaves. Such a gorgeous plant. I have not chopped mine yet. I started this the same time as my Philodendron Splendid that I'm going to show you in a little bit. That one I've actually chopped twice. So this one isn't as fast as a grower or a climber. And you can see the bottom leaves down here, or no, you can't see. There's still like the original tiny leaves. Actually, one just fell. One of the original bottom leaves was yellow, so it's time to go. So yeah, the ones, I'm hitting the top leaf. The ones down here are still very tiny. So I do have like 3 vines, I think, growing. I don't know what my plan is. I think I want to take these like top leaves and add the vines like side by side and create one full big bushy pole of Glorious and do an extension. It's going to be a bit of a messy project. But since I haven't technically chopped her yet, the leaves really haven't sized up too much. And this one is a bit more finicky than the Splendid for sure. It's still like a pretty easygoing philo, but it is a little bit more finicky. It's a very thirsty plant as well in my experience. So yeah, I definitely gotta chop this one soon. But I love these leaves. They are beautiful. Such a gorgeous plant. It's hard to believe that this one has been climbing for as long as my Splendid. I started them at the exact same time. But yeah, definitely been a slower one. But I love this plant and I love these leaves. Again, just such a gorgeous philodendron. This is Sodiroi, Philodendron Sodiroi, and I love this philodendron right now. Like, come on, how gorgeous is this plant? Seriously, I cannot, you guys, I cannot. This is such a gorgeous plant. The silver, the leaf shape, everything about this philodendron. This is the newest leaf here. Like, come on. Come on, it's gorgeous. A lot of the original leaves have like expent all their energy, so they've yellowed off, but I have one little one left. It sized up so quickly. This plant has been climbing for about a year. I got this plant this time last year and I immediately like got it pulled up after a month, and it's been slowly and steadily increasing in leaf size. Like, I don't know. I can't explain to you how gorgeous this plant is. And like some of these latest leaves have gotten bigger, of course. And whoop, I have tons of roots inside of the pole. It loves climbing. And I love this philodendron. Like, I just can't. It's such a gorgeous plant. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Like, come on. Yeah, I have no words. So easygoing. I will say this one's a bit of a sappy one. A lot of philodendron have EFNs or extrafloral nectaries. So if you ever see the sticky residue or sap either on the leaves or the petioles, that's what that is. And this one can be very sticky at times. So sometimes I like get my finger on it accidentally and then I have to wash my hands. I love her, you guys. I love her. I love her. I love her. I love her. Yeah, no words. Growing so quickly. And I'm going to have another new leaf probably very soonish. Just no words. Just a gorgeous plant. No words. I have no words. What is this? What is this? I have no words. No words. No words to describe the beauty and gorgeousness, and I just am in love with this plant right here. I feel like I might like this one a little bit more right now than my Sodiroi. Did I even say that last one was a Sodiroi? This one is a Majestic, Philodendron Majestic, and this new leaf gave me such a huge jump in leaf size. I have two vines actually in here. I have a smaller vine over here, which is the new leaf growing, and the main vine is growing huge. And I have a new leaf coming in. Like, come on, look at this. Look at how gorgeous. How gorgeous is this plant? The Majestic is the hybrid of the Verrucosum and the Sodiroi. The Sodiroi isn't a hybrid, nor is the Verrucosum, but this one is like a combo of the two. But I seriously love this plant right now. Again, just no words on how beautiful this plant is. It's sized up significantly. I think it's liking the new fertilizer, and I just, like, look at these leaves. This is where it started, down here. This is how small they are compared to what the heck is this? I love this plant. I adore this plant right now. It's tough. This one might be my favorite. I don't know. It's so hard to pick. I still have one more to show you after this, but I don't know, you guys. So yeah, just so gorgeous. Such a beautiful plant. I love her, and I cannot wait for more growth. So Philodendron Majestic. Last but not least is my most prized one right now because she's gorgeous. This is my Splendid. I love her. She's my most recent chop project. Look at this. She's doing well since the chop. I recently did this, so the video is recently on my channel, but I'll link it too. So the main vine, I added the bottom half of the pole to the side here, and it seems to be doing well so far. I was a little worried that it was going to shock, but it seems to be doing okay and holding on. I love this plant. It's crazy, like the Glorious I was just showing you, this one started the exact same time, and it's huge. Like this leaf, you guys, come on, it's huge. It's humongous. This is probably 1.5 feet long. What is this? It's so beautiful. This is another one that has a gorgeous backside. I like the lime green. It's really hard to make out, but it's so pretty, especially in the light when it reflects. It's so pretty. I actually feel like she's going to be pushing her new leaf here soon. She's kind of pushing out a little bit. So I'm excited to see how she's going to do. She's very heavy. I love Splendid. So easygoing. Out of all the philodendron, I don't know. It's hard to pick absolute favorites. Some of them are just so different in their own ways, but if I had to pick, it would probably be one of these last three. If you don't have a Splendid, a Majestic, or a Sodiroi, get one. Honestly, just so easygoing and just gorgeous plants. You cannot go wrong with any of those three. I really hope you enjoyed my philodendron collection. Thank you so much for watching, and I just hope you enjoy some of these plants like I have. I just absolutely love climbing plants. Even though they're a lot of work sometimes, I adore them, and they're just some of my favorites. So hopefully the group out of bunch 3 will either grow on me or I'll be letting them go, because I definitely want to move forward with plants that bring me happiness and joy, and I don't want to keep plants around that are going to stress me out. And I don't know, I just want to go forward with a collection I'm happy with. So let me know which one of my plants that you like and is your favorite, and are you going to get any after seeing this video? But again, thank you for watching and for being here. I appreciate you, and I will talk to you again very soon.